Okay, good morning. I'm trying to wrap up the major or salient points of community training or our CD 142. So please listen very well and be able to use, if you can, use headphone for this. So this is designing and planning a training. I know for sure that you have attended a training activity in the past and you have already some certificates for that matter. So a training activity is no longer strange to you. However, the very skill that we want to learn here in CD142 is how to plan and how to design and how to organize and how to facilitate a training program. So the skills that are also important, equally important here, ay yung skills ng facilitation and documentation. Okay, let's start. So there are four main components of a training process. When you say a process, it follows steps, three series of steps. Number one is planning. So what do you do when you plan? You conceptualize, you think, you take note. No, you have to be skeptical. You have to also gather data, important data of your beneficiaries, target clients, target participants, and target organization for that matter, because a training activity is itself an intervention program, is a strengthening and intervention program that we can hold and organize for an organization. So what do you do when you plan? So this is the first step again. You identify economic opportunities. So the skill that you will need here is to be observant, identify, you can do SWOT here, or based on the community profile that there is in a community, pwede ninyong facilitate with the community people ano yung mga economic opportunities na nandiyan in a particular community or in a particular organization. And then conduct training needs assessment. So there are many types of training needs assessment, and I will have a separate file and discussion for this. And of course, writing goals and objectives based on training needs. Having been identified, the result of a training needs assessment or TNA is the shortlisted needs of an organization. So we have to contextualize the training in an organization. So ano ba ang mga needs na lumabas doon sa training needs assessment? You can do questionnaire for TNA, you can do questionnaire, you can do brainstorming, you can do workshops, so whatever is needed best. And as well, you can, when you do a survey, especially in your practicum, when you do a community profiling, in the survey questionnaire or in the survey tool or schedule, you can incorporate ano ang mga training needs ng community or ng specific organization para makuha na ninyo yung training needs ng organization. And then you write the goals, because any intervention should be able to meet the goals. So dapat mauna gid ang goals. Okay? So dapat may goals and objectives of the training activity. And then the next step is designing. So what do? You design, you write. No? The idea here is to write curriculum development or what we call training design development. So in a bigger context, kasi pag sinabi mong program, it includes, or ang nakasali doon ay series of training activities. But as far as your requirements is concerned, it's just the conduct of a single training activity for that matter. So pag sinabi mo kasing curriculum development, series of trainings yan, no? Long-term at series of training activities siya. And then selection of training techniques and strategies. So anong teaching technique and strategy ang gagamitin mo? Will you do lecture? Will you do webinar? Kasi sa pandemic setting, ay mahirap talaga ang may face-to-face. So webinar? Or will you do, ano bang mga strategies na gagawin mo? Will you do video presentation? Will you, what particular strategy? So that yun kasali lahat in designing a training. And then the actual conduct, the actual day, this is a big day. So anong nandito? Actual conduct and management of the program. So you imagine, for example, I think it's safe for me to assume that you have already attended a training activity in the past. Say, for example, earthquake drill, that is in itself a form of a training activity. It's a form of an educational activity. The actual conduct, no? So anong gagawin? The beginning of the program, beginning, and then ano pang mga parts of the program, and then management of the program. And then the final step is evaluation. So merong mga questionnaires na binibigay to assess and evaluate kung successfully ba na-achieve yung goals ng training. So what we do here is to just provide questionnaires or survey forms or evaluation forms to the participants, and then answer it, and then process it. So titignan, itatali mo kung ano-anong mga areas of the training ang kailangan ng improvement or kailangan ng strengthening for that matter. At anong mga areas din ng training yung naging strength. Okay, so the feedback portion, this is the feedback portion. No? Bibigay ng input ang mga nag-attend ng training to indicate how much the desired objectives have been met. It also identifies the program's strengths and weaknesses and determines kung dahil ang bawat training activity merong cost, the evaluation part will determine kung cost-effective ba yung training activity. Okay, next slide. So, what are the factors to consider in designing a training? Entry knowledge and skill of participants. So, dapat talaga merong paano mo aalamin yan? No? Paano mo yung basic knowledge, ASK, the attitude, the skills, and the knowledge of the participants. So, you will ask before the training, before the opening or the program opening, you may incorporate their certain activities by which you will know anong alam na nila so far about the topic. Okay? And then, you have to consider also the time available for the training. So, if it's a skills training, like for example, it's a livelihood. It's designed to increase their knowledge on livelihood, a particular livelihood for that matter, like food processing, no? Sardines making for that matter, or candle making. So how much time is needed for that? Considering also that if your target participants are women, you have to understand the psychology of women, no? That they are also mothers, that they have huge time, no, demanded of them to be in their homes as well. So paano mo i-design? Anong ideal na time necessary for that particular training? So in the webinars today, half a day, no? Tatatapos na yung training because the participants get bored, especially in a virtual setting. The participants get bored at maaaring hindi na nare-receive na maayos yung communication. Hindi na nagsasucceed yung actual communication, actual learning, transfer of learning na nangyayari. And then, the subject matter, what particular subject? Or, say for example, if the idea is on candle making, so paano mo i-specify, i-subdivide yung topic on candle making for that matter para maging concise and substantial, no? Concise, maliit, mabilis, konti lang, but substantial or unod, maunod siya, marami siyang laman. And then, selection of instructional material. Ano bang gagawin mo? This is to reinforce learning and knowledge because it's also true that in psychology, the psychology of man, after the lecture, wala nang naiwan. No? 3 hours after the lecture, ilan na lang ang na-retain na knowledge ng participants. So you have to also be prepared of reinforcement instructional materials so that they have something to take home. Okay? And who will administer the training? Who is the ideal resource person? no, for that matter. So if it's candle making or any livelihood activity, who is the suitable or most suitable resource person or speaker to tap? Ang skill natin dito in community development is how to organize, how to plan, how to conceptualize, and how to manage. But if you have special skills, then you can serve also as a resource person, no? Kung ano, depende din kung ano yung subject matter. Okay, next. So this is the step 1, no? Identification of economic opportunities. So this is a thorough and systematic identification of potential and economic opportunities within a community. So for example, malapit na ang Pasko or malapit na ang Ramadan, no? Na fresh fruits yung needed. So ano ang, these are opportunities. Ano ang, or merong palarong panlalawigan for that matter in a particular area. So these are opportunities. Anong mga magagandang livelihood activities or training na pwedeng i-transfer to the target clients, target participants para ma-improve yung kanilang well-being. Yun naman talaga ang pinaka-bottom line ng intervention, no, that we do in community development to the particular organization or in a community setting. That's to improve their well-being and their welfare. Okay? And then you do also assessment of training needs. So dalawa ang gagawin natin or major activities here. When you talk of assessment of training needs, ina-assess mo lang tinitignan mo, dinadiagnose mo yung pangangailangan. Anong training ba ang kailangan nila? Okay. So for example, if the target participant or if the organization you're working with is farmers or fisher folks, well, if it's fisher folks, will you do organic farming training to them? Of course, it's not. So, ano ang suitable? Anong pinaka-suitable? So, hindi tayo ang nag-think what training to give to them or to facilitate, to organize, to help them. But it must be coming from them. No? Itong assessment of training needs, kasali ang tao. Okay? So, in knowing the potentials of the community, we can do survey. No? Tingnan mo, balikan mo yung community profile. In your practicum, yung CD197A, yun yung profiling. Magpo-profiling, magsusurvey kayo, house-to-house survey. And you are going to get the overall picture, social picture, economic, political, and geographic picture of the barangay, or of a community for that matter. So this will provide, makikita mo dito, ano yung economy ng community, ano yung mga resources readily available, diba? Sa assets-based community development, ano yung mga skills possessed din ng mga tao. So when you kaya importante that when you when you get to see the community profiling, tingnan mo ano yung mga economic activities. Kasi ang training is on the economic improvement, no? Well-being at welfare ng community or ng target clients or target organization. Or you can do community consumer demand survey. So this is highly technical, and I think in your NTREP 101, you have had conducted survey on knowing the demand, anong mga demands, anong need, most need ng mga tao in the community. Kasi pwede mong ma-provide yun, pwede mong mapasukan yun. Halimbawa, ang most need ng mga tao ay, or anong community ay, kailangan nila ng product, no? Parang supplemental product ng kanilang day-to-day staple. So, from there, you can see ano ang ideal na economic activity. And from the ideal economic activity, maka-design na ng particular subject matter as to what to train. Or you can do market opportunity survey. So, itong dalawa, highly on the entrepreneurial side ito. So, anyway, this alone, survey of community profile alone, will provide us ample knowledge on anong mga potential subject matter to do or training activity to do. Okay? And then, training needs assessment. Paano gagawin ang training needs assessment? You can do interview, of course, but you have to, again, document. You have to document. So, when you do interview, it's face-to-face, but this is very limited, especially in the pandemic setting. No? And then you can do questionnaire. Iwan lang, tanungin. And then, or you can do test. Okay, or you can do guided group discussion. This is ideal for an organizational setting. So, women's organization, you gather the women members, no, it should be quorum, para guided yung discussion. I think you know about this in the focus group discussion, for example, paano gagawin. So, there are many ideal manners that or means by which you can do training needs assessment. Okay, and then okay. So what's important is you know the current level of knowledge, skills, and attitudes of the target participants. Halimbawa, if you work with women, because women know a lot. If you work with women's organization, you have to assume na meron or talagang it's a safe assumption na women know a lot. So, for example, kung livelihood or what to do with a coconut. No? Paano food processing ang gagawin with the coconut meat or the coconut husk. So, you have to really inquire from the women's group or women's organization. Ano ang alam nila insofar as processing of women's of coconut fruit is concerned. Okay? So, anong knowledge and skills? So that yung mga alam na nila, hindi mo na masasali yun in the designing, no? In the particular topics to be discussed on the actual training. And then, ito ang essential parts of the training design. Then you proceed with writing the design. No? Ito na yung designing. So may title. Anong title ng iyong training? And then ang rationale, the reason. No? Ito ang justification. Bakit kailangan ang training na ito? So it's more of a descriptive title. It's more of the descriptive part. And then you cite the goals and objectives. Ano ang goals and objectives ng training? Specific. No? Goal, general. Objectives, specific. If you're able to write or formulate correctly your goals and objectives, mabilis na lang gawin yung activities, no? Specific activities or subject matter. And then the course content, ito yung what particular topics are to be taken up in the training. So yan yung course content. Siyempre meron siyang introduction, meron siyang anong body, anong mga important parts. Yun yung course content. And then the methodology. Paano siya gagawin ang training na ito? Will there be anong mga teaching strategies or teaching methods ang gagawin for the matter? And then the program of activities. So, pag sabi ko nga itong goals and objectives, closely tied, no? Closely knit itong dalawa. Program of activities, mabilis na lang siyang gawin. Manpower requirements, yung committees, sinong gagawa, ang committee on program, committee on food, and this and that. And then the budgetary requirements, how much money is needed, how much resource is needed to do the activity. To do the activity. And then, you proceed with training. So, maraming pamamaraan din by which we can do the training evaluation. Then, so, start with the title. Okay. And then, of course, anong title? The title. Anong nandoon? Title of the training, participants to be invited, the number of participants, the training date or dates, venue, and then the total cost, and then the source of funding. So, this is very self-explanatory. And then the rationale. You will see this section will provide a justification, sabi ko nga, strong explanation and profound reason to qualify the implementation of the training. Especially so if you will seek for funding help. kung maayos ang justification mo, posible na yung grant, no, mai-grant, malaki yung probability na mai-grant yung funding ng iyong training activity. And then, remember, a well-rationalized design is worth doing. Okay, how to write objectives. So, ito yan, no? So, anong mga areas of learning? Cognitive, ito yung the head knowledge. Affective, ito yung the behavior part. And then the psychomotor, yung skill, no? Physical skill. So, how do you write the objectives? Dapat, when you write objectives, isaalang-alang mo, or you have to consider the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So, objectives have to be specific. It has to be measurable kasi nga, mag-evaluate, no? May evaluation in training. It must be attainable within the specific time, and it must be realistic, no? Given the type of participants, their level of knowledge, and the time the training is conducted. Okay? So, writing course curriculum. So, paano ba mag-write ng training design? Steps in writing course content. Identify the topic or the subject matter based on goals and objectives. Make tentative outline. Outline ka lang. Magde-design ka ng mga topics ba ang dapat kasali sa training na ito. And then you prioritize. Organize topics into a curriculum or a course. And then try more creative ways of wording topics. Select instructional methods and techniques that are ideal. So ano ba ang mga techniques na yon? Anong mga training methods ang ideal? Lecture, extended talk with much participation. You can do lecture. I think this is very self-explanatory. In the webinars today, talagang lecture ang nangyayari. No? Walang mga group discussion. Or lecture discussion for that matter, pero walang mga subgroups. No? Kasi very limited yung time, very limited yung, especially merong mga interceptions sa internet connection and so on and so forth. So you can do group discussion, and then, ano pa? I'm just presenting the ideal training methods. You can do role play, when especially sa inyong mga how is that? Sa inyong CD 197B, no? Strengthening the organization. So you can do role play, pros and cons, and then you can do case study. Or this is not ideal for a training, no, actual training or livelihood skills training. You can do games. Okay. You can do demonstration. So this is ideal and highly used for a skills training. Okay, ideal. I think alam niyo na ito, no? And then you can do coaching. Okay. What we will do and what we will have in the training. Sandali kasi yung aking anak ay. Okay.
A team now press the white forward into.
Okay, so you can do coaching. Okay, we can just select, no, from these training methods or suggested training methods. Ano ang ideal for community training? Pero nga, with the pandemic, very limited yung ating options, limited to webinars and so on and so forth. Okay, so talk to the participants. When you want to talk to participants, you do lecture and presentation. When you talk with the participants, you do question, answer, or discussion. When you have them talk together, you do that. And then you show them how, you do demonstration, revise them, you do workshop and demonstration. Okay? So yeah. Okay, so I'll stop here and then proceed with another recording with another topic.